his presence alone can make managers, can make opposing teams do things that maybe they wouldn't do normally. So it could be a pretty fascinating situation to see how this goes.
Here we go. We're back with our friend Chandler Rome, who covers the Astros for The Athletic. So, Chandler, is this everything that Astros fans have dreamed for? The team turns it around from an early season slump. They end up winning the division kind of easily, and they get to face AJ Hinch in the first round. What's the vibe like there, man?
I don't think they're excited to see Tarek Skubal, but I think they'll be excited to see AJ Hinch. AJ, while the circumstances under which he left were obviously not great, the fan base still really, really likes him. The first time he came back here with the Tigers, he got rousing ovations every time he went out to take a pitcher in and out. Every time he popped his head out of the dugout, the fans just showered him with applause, and I would expect that to continue here. Really an affable guy. All of you know AJ. He's such an affable guy, such a great down-to-earth human being that really formed a rapport and a connection with this fan base here. And obviously they don't want him to win 2 out of these 3 games here this week, but I think there's going to be some people happy to see him and people happy to see that he's gotten this Tigers club where they are. They just hope that it doesn't come at the Astros' expense.
We know everything that surrounded him leaving, right or wrong, whatever, and I'll keep my opinion out of it because I had him as a manager. What do the current players that were still there when he was there, I know not everybody's still there, even though fans think, oh, all Astros were in the cheating scandal, like, get over it. But what about the players on the team? What do they think of Hinch?
I think they all still love him. But I do think, I was looking around the clubhouse yesterday once the matchup was finalized, and it really got me to thinking about how much time has passed. You look in that clubhouse, Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve are really the only players that AJ Hinch managed for a considerable length of time. Kyle Tucker came up toward the end of the 2018 season, was up here a little bit in 2019. Yordan Alvarez didn't debut until 2019. So it's really just Bregman and Altuve are the position guys that remain there that from Hinch's tenure. Obviously, Justin Verlander's still on the roster. Not sure if he's even going to participate in this wild card series, but they like him. I mean, it's difficult not to like AJ Hinch. He's one of the most likable, affable, friendly people in the game. Kratz, you know from playing for him just what kind of a guy he is. It's really hard to find someone that doesn't like him. So that feeling hasn't left the Astros clubhouse, and especially guys that have played for him and coached under him. Joe Espada, AJ Hinch hired Joe Espada to be his bench coach in 2018. These guys were minor league teammates in the A's organization. They're still very close to the point where Joe Espada has called AJ Hinch one of his mentors. So now in his first playoff series as a major league manager, he gets to look in the other dugout and see one of his good friends and one of his mentors managing the other club.
Wow, that's really cool to think about. You're now facing your mentor. That's got to be a pretty surreal feeling. You mentioned Justin Verlander earlier and not being sure if he's going to be, pitching or whatever. What is the vibe? Have you gotten a vibe from the players and what they feel that should happen? Has anybody in the locker room talked about, maybe wanting him or thinking that he should be pitching?
Well, I think the most important person to talk to is Verlander, who after his second to last start when he pitched against the Angels, really kind of made some reflective and candid comments to basically, acknowledge that he's not where he needs to be, that he believes he came back a little bit too early from his neck injury that sidelined him for 2 months. And the results just haven't been there. He's said on multiple occasions that he just hasn't been good enough. He has an 8.08 ERA since coming off of the injured list. Did have a quality start on Saturday against the Guardians in Cleveland with 6 innings, allowed 3 runs. Did look better. The contact was a lot weaker. He threw fewer fastballs, used a lot more changeups, threw the slider to the back foot, a lot more than we've seen from him. So there have been some adjustments made, but if you look at the calendar, he pitched on Saturday. That means he won't be on full rest until a potential Game 3 of this wild card series. And, with the way Yusei Kikuchi and Hunter Brown have been pitching, I can't imagine that Justin Verlander pitches over either of them in a Game 3 situation. And this is a guy that in 19 major league seasons has made 1 appearance out of the bullpen. It doesn't sound like that they're really amenable to using him out of the bullpen. Joe Espada said this weekend in Cleveland they have not had any discussions with him about pitching out of the bullpen. And they've got two other starters that are more suited to go to the bullpen in long relief in Spencer Arrighetti and Ronel Blanco. So there really isn't a spot for Justin Verlander on this wild card roster. Perhaps they could still carry him and use him and have him just on the roster. But I don't see a situation unless there's a game that goes 15 or 16 innings and they're down to, the final people down in that bullpen. I can't see a situation in which he pitches in the wild card series. Now, if they advance to the ALDS, that's maybe another story, and that's maybe where you see a little bit more of a deeper discussion as to whether he deserves a shot to start in that series.
All right, well, we have to give Scott his flowers. Scott Braun said after his second start this year off the IL, I don't think this is a playoff Verlander. And our argument was Joe Espada doesn't have the hair on his chest to say, Justin Verlander, you're not pitching. Now, you said about how Verlander said, he hasn't been the best version. Does Joe Espada have the hair on his chest to tell Justin Verlander, you're not even on the roster?
I think he does, and I don't want to say that they've had those discussions already, but I think there have already been discussions about Justin Verlander's role this October between those two guys. And look, Joe Espada's had to navigate a ton of different difficult conversations in his first year as a manager. He had to send Jose Abreu to the West Palm Beach spring training facility in May, had to sit down and option a former MVP that's making $58.5 million. He had to be in the room when they sent Rafael Montero, when they DFA'd Rafael Montero in the second year of a $34.5 million deal and put him on waivers. So difficult conversations are really not something that Joe Espada is going to shy away from. In fact, first day in spring training, he brought Ryan Presley and Josh Hader into his office and said, all right, Josh Hader, you're my closer. Ryan Presley, you're my setup man. They got it out in the open. They talked it through, and then he went out, and the first media scrum in spring training, we knew who the closer was. So one thing you have to give Joe Espada credit for in his first year as a manager, he's had to navigate a lot of difficult situations, a lot of awkward conversations, and he's done them pretty flawlessly from what I can tell. Players are still in tune. They still seem to really play for him, and obviously the turnaround speaks for itself, going from 12-24 to American League West champions. So it's something Joe Espada's had to do, I think, maybe a bit more than he thought he would have to, and he's done it so well. What's one more conversation added to the top of that?
Joe's pro. He was a third base coach when I was with the Yankees. You tweeted out also another tough decision that needs to be made, maybe not in his hands, maybe more of a medical decision. You tweeted out about Yordan Alvarez, that he had a better day than he had the day before. Can Joe start him in game one with the knowledge that possibly he's not going to be able to play all 3 games of the wild card series? Or is this a Yordan Alvarez playing game one, he's playing all 3?
I think a lot hinges on what happens today at Minute Maid Park. I'm sitting in the home radio booth right now looking at the field where Yordan Alvarez is supposed to take some batting practice today, supposed to take some swings. He has not swung or hit since spraining his knee last Sunday. And I think they'll know a lot more after today with how he rebounds and how he comes back from it. I do think no matter what, if he is included on this roster and he plays, I don't think he's going to be at 100% efficacy. But Yordan Alvarez at 70% is better than most of the league, probably at 95, 98%. And I do wonder, too, and I wrote about this weekend, is there a situation in which they carry Yordan Alvarez no matter what, whether they think he can play or whether he is just a decoy? Because just having him on the roster and having him in the dugout, his presence is going to really, I think, would really mess with how AJ Hinch maybe deploys his bullpen, maybe who he goes to when, how they pitch to guys around the lineup when they think that maybe Yordan Alvarez could be an option to pinch hit off the bench. So maybe there is a situation where Yordan Alvarez isn't ready to play, but they carry him no matter what just to have his presence, because his presence alone can can make managers, can make opposing teams do things that maybe they wouldn't do normally. So it could be a pretty fascinating situation to see how this goes.
Yo, what's up, FT fam? I appreciate you guys loving the content, but I'm seeing only 50% of you guys are subscribed. Go down below, hit that subscribe button so you can get the real inside information on deck. Let's go.
We get it. Mornings are nuts. No time for breakfast, but you need to get your day started right.
What if a delicious, nutritious meal could be ready in seconds? Support for Foul Territory is brought to you by Huel, the world's #1 complete nutrition brand. With over 400 million meals sold worldwide, Huel is trusted by millions of people looking to fuel their days with convenient, complete nutrition. Try it for yourself with this exclusive FT offer. 15% off with the code FOUL at Huel.com.
We're all about saving time, but we get hangry, like a lot. I recently fell in love with the Huel Ultimate Super Greens powder, which is a perfect blend of 91 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. I also love their complete nutrition bars, and those hot and savory pouches are fire too.
FT fam, give it a shot. Get 15% off with the code FOUL at HUEL.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters.
Chandler, can you size up how this series looks, like a tale of the tape with both teams based on how each component of the ball club has done over the past, let's call it, month, since the Tigers are a totally different team? And you can make a case, obviously, the Astros have picked up steam, Tucker's back, the whole deal. So just looking at the rotation, the offense, the defense, and the bullpen.
I think certainly Tarek Skubal's the best pitcher in this series. He's going to win the Cy Young unanimously. He should win the Cy Young unanimously, excuse me. He's going to pitch tomorrow against Framber Valdez, who has been very, very good. That's to take nothing away from Framber Valdez. Tomorrow should be perhaps the most premier pitching matchup of the playoffs, and certainly in the wild card round. There's going to be no better pitching matchup than Valdez and Skubal. And then after that, it'll be interesting to see. I think the big question is, how does this Astros lineup adjust to what AJ Hinch is going to do with his pitching staff after Skubal starts? Because we've seen openers, we've seen, mixing and matching relievers. They're not going to see a traditional game after game one. How is this lineup equipped to make in-game, in-at-bat, mid-inning adjustments to the different relievers that are going to come in for this Tigers team? This is a lineup. The Astros lineup, it's been good. I think they were 7th in the league in OPS this year. They have a good lineup. But one thing about them this year that is different than the past, only the Miami Marlins had a higher chase rate this season than the Astros. And only the Miami Marlins swung more this season than the Astros. So this is a team that can expand the strike zone, and they swing early, they swing often, and they are very aggressive in counts. So I wonder if they're going to, how this Detroit bullpen comes in. Are they going to attack them right off? Or if they're in the strike zone, the Astros will make early contact, maybe get themselves out in situations, or, it can be an ambush where they have 4 singles in 6 pitches and they've got the Tigers on their heels. So I think that's going to be a fascinating thing to see how this offense maybe adjusts in the postseason. And then from the Astros perspective, they're going to they haven't announced the games 2 and 3 starter yet. And I think it'll be interesting to see what they do, because this Tigers team is very, very left-handed. Riley Green, Parker Meadows, they've got a ton of left-handed hitters in this lineup. The Astros have a really good left-handed starter going in game 1. They've got Yusei Kikuchi waiting in the wings too. Do they go 2 left-handed starters in a row against the Tigers? Or do they start Detroit native and Wayne State alum Hunter Brown in game 2 and save another good left-handed starter in Yusei Kikuchi for game 3 if their season's on the line? Now, Hunter Brown, since May 5th, only Chris Sale and Paul Skeens have a lower ERA than Hunter Brown. He's been the best pitcher in the American League since May 5th. You could do a lot worse than starting him in game 2, but I do wonder if they look at those platoon splits and they look at how lefty-heavy this Tigers lineup is, do they go back-to-back lefties and throw Yusei Kikuchi in game 2?
I like that. Great breakdown, Chandler. Thank you for hopping on. And obviously we'll talk again, I'm sure, especially if the Astros keep making progress here, which they usually do. Appreciate the time. Everyone check out Chandler's work. He's going to be all over extra articles in The Athletic, and you can give him a follow on Twitter, of course. Thank you, Chandler. Good catching up, man.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Hey everybody, be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.